So hello guys and welcome to our PGP replay cast. I'm Dax and joining me tonight is...
I'm Pao, and yeah, today we'll be casting over a PGP Corona Cup match
Yes.
between Mr. Tip Tap and Alfie.
Yes, and this is Ivan Jingco actually versus Mr. Comentan over there on the red hand side. But in this, of all its purposes, we'll be calling them Tip Tap and Alfie. This is the first time actually we're going to be looking on a perspective of the player, and we're already seeing items here and now for Mr. Tip Tap. But we'll be casting the action as it goes. And here for the blue hand side, we do have that player free Torkoal, Venusaur, Sableye. We also are going to have the Conquistador and the Rhyperior. And here for Alfie, what does he have, my man?
We see that he actually shares the Conkeldurr, Rhyperior, and Torkoal core between these two, but it looks like both of them are going for some sort of Trick Room or Slow Team, as we see those heavy hitters normally having very low base speed.
And for once, actually, we do see the items on one side already. And interesting choices there for Tip Tap. That Venusaur having the Assault Vest, probably going to be a sweeper, all about doing the damage needs to be done. And the Torkoal having Safety Goggles. And remind me, Mr. Pao, what do the Safety Goggles do in a potential matchup?
The Safety Goggles, their primary usage is actually preventing sand damage, but it also prevents stuff like spore moves, like the Sleep Powder, the Stun Powder, and the very rare the Poison Powder. But
that's pretty cool. That's actually a pretty cool way. Yeah.
Primarily, it prevents like something one shots from due to sand stuff. But since you won't be carrying the Focus Sash, there won't be a sash to protect. But we do here see the first turn they lead with Torkoal Venusaur. The Venusaur actually really fast right now because of the Chlorophyll ability that it normally carries. We'll see if he does go for some sleep shenanigans or Dynamax.
Yeah, but the Venusaur going to be recalled action. It's a Rhyperior out into the field. It seems like Tip Tap here expecting a potential Trick Room on the opposite side, and he's already setting up to try and do the damage that needs to be done. Fake Tears though will connect. Heat Wave in response from the Chandelure says, no, I'm not going to set that up for you. But it's going to be half the damage already. Counter Heat Wave though from the Torkoal. And oh, that Life Part pretty low, but no casualties first on either side. And a good start here for both. What do you think? What's going to be next here for both Tip Tap and Alfie?
For now, I'm pretty sure the Alfie doesn't want to click Trick Room, as both of his Pokemon very fast right now compared to the very slow Torkoal and Rhyperior. Literally a lava turtle.
Yes, it's a lava turtle and a rock golem, a rock rhino. Honestly, Fake Tears though gonna come on down yet again. And another debuff onto special defense. Both of them already -2 if I remember correctly. And a Heat Wave to get into double KO. Strong start here from Alfie. Tip Top, not in tip top shape whatsoever. Where did that all go wrong here?
I think that Sun that Torkoal set for himself actually debilitating his own team. Fake Tears on the Rhyperior, you see it's not very effective on either of them, but it's enough to 2-hit kill like both of them.
Yeah, double Fake Tears plus with that Sun all abound. And now we do have Tip Top in a spot of trouble. He's down 2 Pokemon. This is all he's gonna have left. No more swaps whatsoever. Dynamax gonna be in the cards for both. And it seems like that Venusaur we saw earlier on, it had that Assault Vest. And we'll probably be getting the Dynamax treatment into this one. Tip Top gonna be basically relying on this Venusaur in the first place. And let's see Ivan go for the Dynamax here, and now on to the Venusaur. I'm still waiting on for what Alfie has though in behind. Hasn't exposed anything whatsoever. Having that Chandelure was pretty much a primary way to potentially get that Trick Room on. But here comes the Frog, gonna be looking large, in charge, and looking dominate. Protective from the Life Part to stay alive. And that Life Part, I know there are some shenanigans there potentially with that Pokemon, but the fake outcomes from the Sableye, it gets protect on Quake in the meantime. From the Venusaur, looking for the connection onto the Chandelure instead, and it will go down. So, Mr. Pao, a Chandelure and a Life Part lead. I've seen that before, but what does that really entail in terms of a setup as the Chandelure goes down?
Ideally, it's supposed to provide both protection against and the ability to set up Trick Room for yourself, because Dynamaxing Dynamaxing into the Trick Room Max Guard actually helps Lipard copycat the Max Guard for the Trick Room for a priority Trick Room setup.
Yeah,
And it's a very nasty setup actually.
I've seen it before. I remember the one of our tournaments where two players actually had it and we're gonna face off each other. And I decided to go for it because they knew, oh, the same guy doing the same old trick. And in that same team, there was a Hatterene in behind. And there you go, Hatterene right here, right now, looking to get Dynamaxed here by Alfie. We'll see if the Psychic type is going to be able to get enough damage done. The real question here, how will Ivan respond into this? We're seeing his perspective right now, and we're actually noticing how he makes many of these decisions, how long he takes to make these moves. The Sableye, though, going to be able to get a few things going, but now with Dynamax, no more wait
Here
to
it
flinch.
is, the Max Guard Trick Room copycat. We'll see.
Copycats.
Yeah, he'll be the Lipard will be using priority Trick Room, actually helping it against the Venusaur because the Venusaur is really fast under the sun right now.
Yeah, but here comes the Sableye looking for the KO, does get it onto the Lipard, but already job done here for our little leopard there. Max Quake in the meantime, gonna connect onto the Max Guard, and that's 2 turns already from the Venusaur and that Dynamax. Alfie looking still in charge. That Hatterene now gonna get priority, and in comes the Torkoal. Even scarier, a fire type on the field versus that big grass type. And how will our player here on the left respond? How will Tip Tap be in tip-top shape? As I said before, it seems like the Torkoal gonna be the targets. In the meantime, oh, it's gonna be a potential quash here from the Sableye. We were talking about, I was actually interested to see Sableye have this move, basically slowing down the Pokemon no matter what, if Trick Room is set up or not. But here comes the Smites from the Hatterene. G-Max Smite actually, so that's a G-Max Hatterene. Haven't seen that too much confusion, gonna connect onto the Venusaur as well. And really, these Season 3 rules having so many potential things to enjoy. Life Orb on the Hatterene confirmed there, though Venusaur gonna try to go for the connection, but still gets a Max Quake on. Will the Torkoal survive? That's the real question here. Chlorophyll is set up as well as that Sunday, but Torkoal gonna be able to stay alive with its defense stats on. And in the meantime, it's time for a reckoning. The Eruption looking to go for the damage, but it's only a slight hit. And it seems like the Sunny Day gonna go on down. Pow! 1v2 right now. Looking tough here for Tip Tap. How can he actually change things up as the Dynamax ends here for the blue hand side?
At this point, it's it's a very hard match. He's going 1v3 against someone who still has their G-Max up. As just a Venusaur without the sun.
Yeah, Sludge Bomb now trying to get a little bit of that poison. Phantasm there as well. It is looking like it's pretty much gonna be game set and done, but that Venusaur is quite tanky with that Assault Vest on. The real question is, does Comentan know that he has that special defense boost in the first place? SpongeBob though gonna connect, and that's a 1-turn break confusion. Pretty lucky stuff there from Tip Tap. And the G-Max gonna go on down pretty, it's not as strong as you would expect. Still 2v1 though. Gonna be a tough fight to begin with. A lot of grit right now. Trick Room still set up for the next 2 turns. By this point in time, who should Tip Tap target first, Pao?
In this case, I feel like the proper target will probably be the Hatterene, but it's very dangerous seeing as both of them move first before the Venusaur because of that Trick Room setup earlier.
Yeah, he just needs to kill one. That's the most important part. He needs to kill one so he can potentially mitigate the damage that Solfest doing wonders for him. And the Hatterene gonna go down. A few of those Life Orb procs not really helping out survive, but it did a bit of damage. And I agree, Pao. Having that Life Orb on top of that Hatterene makes it a bigger target. Now, though, it's time to go against the Torkoal. And it's looking really, really close. Type-wise, you'd say the Torkoal has the advantage, but the Venusaur has been shrugging off all of that. Will it survive? 3 HP in a Dream, Pao! This is coming close.
Very
power.
bulky.
Oh my god, this is actually pretty clutch, and the Torkoal gonna die! Oh, Tip Tap did it now. He did it 2v4, turning into a 1v0 victory for the Frog. And Tip Tap
Actually
with the 1-0, man.
He's actually grasping victory from the jaws of defeat there.
Dude, he was like literally 1 finger away from dropping down. But there you go, first game done, and thus that we are on a BO3. And honestly, with basically everything that's been going on lately, I haven't really been able to keep up much on the VGC scene itself. Usually I watch the big tournaments to help out. So I don't own a Switch myself. I do drop by from time to time in Showdown. But what really have been the defining factors of the season for you? I'd assume you've been playing a little more, especially being stuck at home. And what have you been noticing around the ladder? Have you been noticing these teams? I saw this before in some previous tournaments, sure, but seeing that in the local aspect, or maybe potentially seeing a few things in the ladder, what kind of tricks do you think TipTap and Alfie are going to have in store for this upcoming game?
Well, in the context of this match, I think their game plans are a little bit similar, with TipTap's ability to have... TipTap actually has a different way of speed control compared to Alfie, whereas Alfie more or less relies on Trick Room and his middling speed tiers to get ahead. I feel like TipTap here has his reliance on Quash. Like,
yeah, I get it.
It's very strong.
He doesn't need to factor in speed. As long as that Sableye is alive, he's gonna be able to mitigate the damage to a later date, to postpone it, and having a bulky sweeper on the Venusaur allows him to just basically tank things up as much as possible. But here we go right now. We're gonna be talking about the other two Pokemon later on. We don't want to expose it as of yet. We're still trying to treat it as a spectate VOD, but it is gonna be a Sableye Rhyperior this time, so it seems like TipTap is like, hey, you want to set up that Trick Room, you're gonna get punished immediately on the first turn. Pegato, they'll go for the connection. In the meantime, it's gonna be a potential Brick Break doubling up. He's expecting a swap though, and it's going to be very interesting here. And now Protecto from the Lipard in response. And seems like it's just going to be a turn to stall out here for both. Energy Ball now looking to connect onto that Rhyperior. Holy crap, that's a lot of damage! No, dude, I know someone, a great named Phil Swift. And that is basically his tagline there. You're going to need a little flex tape to fix up that's Rhyperior in the first place. But now it is going to be the Butterfree exposed.
Chandeler's 145 special attack base stat, not something you can shrug off normally.
Wow.
Even with Solid Rock as an ability for Rhyperior.
Seems like it's just not gonna matter. That super effectivity is just so potent. And this is actually going to be a Butterfree here for TipTap, potentially going to be his G-Max Pokemon in this instance. Rage Powder, of course, one of the Butterfree's signature moves. It's basically like a follow me in a sense, right?
Yeah, it's a follow me that doesn't work on grass types and other people wearing safety goggles.
Dude, you gotta protect your eyes, but here comes the Chandler and it gets Dynamaxed on up. So it seems like the priority Trick Room will be the agenda here for our opposite side. Mr. Comentan gonna go for the copy of that as well. It's time to get that Trick Room on up, potentially. Lipard, though, never mind, it's the Energy Ball instead. Interesting play. Was that a misplay there from our Lipard, as the Butterfield gonna get doubled up and will get taken down? Was that the call? Was that the plan? Or will it be, or was it actually all parts of the setup? What do you think, Bao?
I assume he just wanted to get rid of the Butterfree in one turn, and he was predicting Focus Sash, which is why he doubled into the Butterfree. Like Lipard, sometimes you don't need to invest full speed into Lipard, which is why you can use just Copycat and go for a priority hit instead.
Yeah, using that prankster so effective in so many ways. And yes, you're completely correct. Beautiful read there from our red hand side, from Mr. Alfie there, and he just was able to get a little bit of damage, break the sash on, and go for the KO. He noticed that earlier on, the Sableye was not the one with the Focus Sash to begin with, so it has to be someone else. You're expecting Pokemon who are trying to go for a setup to have at least one way to stay alive, to mitigate damage as much as possible. But now it's time for the Dynamax here for our Venusaur. Yet again, gonna be looking to try and crit it out. And do you think this is a proper plan here for our boy TipTap? Or is he just really pushed into a corner like this more often than not? What do you think about the situation as the Venusaur gonna be Dynamaxed here in behind?
I feel like the Venusaur is not not a bad option to Dynamax, but it's just Tip Tap giving himself multiple choices for Dynamax, as he did have the right period to start as a possible Dynamax candidate, but in this game I guess he just prefers the Venusaur.
Yeah, anyway, Trick Room is set on up. It's time for the Max Wake to try and connect with the Chandelure, already set up with that Max Guard to allow the Prankster Trick Room to come. And honestly, this has been such a good game plan here for Alfie. He's been pretty on points with what he wants to do. But unfortunately, plants aren't the only thing in Pokemon. Sometimes you need some guts, you need some glory, and you need some stats, some padding on your Pokemon. And that's pretty much why Tip Tap able to take that first victory, 3 HP away from defeat. This time though, Alfie yet again in charge. Chandelure gonna take a brunt of the damage. Interesting camera work there from our game. Looking at the flame, at the edge of the flame. It's like when you have a spectator cam and you look at the audience while something's going on. As the flare comes here from Chandelure, the Venusaur now gonna take a brunt of the damage. And oh my god, again! This Chandelure is the one who is gonna be basically the damage dealer for this composition. We were both thinking it was the G-Max Hatterene, but no sir, the Chandelure is the biggest threat on the field.
What I liked about what Alfie did in this match was he actually set the sun earlier, which in normal situations would be bad against the Venusaur, but he follows it up with a Trick Room setup, allowing his team to technically be faster under the Trick Room.
Yeah, but anyway, that is going to be a forfeit here for Tip Tap. He knew his win condition was gone as soon as the Venusaur evaporated into a wilted flower. And now it's all tied up 1-1. It's time to go for game number 3. And for Tip Tap, he needs to have a little better planning into this one. Earlier on in game number 1, he was just able to win out at the slightest of all margins. And on the opposite end, game number 2, Alfie just completely dominant. You can really see the planning has been completely on points, has been just so dominant. And it feels like the first game was a fluke there, honestly, for Tip Tap, and the way he won it. And with Alfie having so many components that just work all together, you can really see it's a balanced team. What do you think, Pao, though? What do you think is up with this matchup right now? What can actually be done better by these two players?
I'm not sure what Alfie Tip Tap wants to do, especially with the fact that his Rapier hasn't done a lot of work this matchup, so it's very questionable as to how he wants to switch it up this game number 3.
Yeah, and look at that item action in the Rapier. It's only the Passion Berry, so nothing to really make it strong. Nothing to make it really tough. It can mitigate, sure, but sometimes the berry just doesn't do enough, right? It's not like it has the Assault Vest. It's not like it has something to get damage done, like a Life Orb or whatever, something like that. It's just a berry on that Rapier, and I feel like him swapping it out now for game number 3 is actually a potential good idea for the Conkeldurr instead with that Flame Ward. With the Guts, with the Glory, gonna be able to just up the stats to make it more and more potent. But I digress, it's time for game number 3 into this one. Tip Top versus Tip Tap, rather. I say Tip Top sometimes, but it's Tip Tap versus Alfie. Ivan Jingco versus E.G. Comentan. Let's get into the action yet again.
Alfie very consistent with his leads all 3 games. He's led this Liepard Chandelure lead from beginning to end here.
Yeah, so Ivan Jingco versus E.R. Comentan coming our way, game number 3. And Pao, I do wanna, before we get started onto this first turn, that's something I really noticed in the Pokemon scene. Why do people use their real names in Pokemon? Like, especially in casting and the like. I see, unless you're like super famous with your IGN, usually people just use your real name in many of the VODs, plus. Is it because it has such a low barrier in terms of that age or something like that? But we see, as we see, Double Protects, Heat Wave right now connecting onto Sableye yet again. That Chandelure packing punch, foul play though in response. The Chandelure gonna take a little bit more damage than expected. Actually, it's still pretty high in that regard, but it's mostly on the special attack end, so the foul play not gonna be able to do as much as the Sableye would want. But yeah, back to my question, Pal. Sorry about that. What
To
do you
answer your
think?
question, it's probably because of the age, the age like barrier is not there's not a lot of like barriers of entry for Pokemon. It is like it allows people to just play as who they want to be. I assume
I guess so. I guess so. Back punch though,
that's
and a
a
sliver of
lot of
HP on the life bar. The focus sash. It hasn't actually been exposed all throughout, and that might have been Tip Tap not noticing that coming his way. But here
that's
comes
a
a double
lot of
KO game.
damage.
That's a lot of damage. You don't need flex tape only. You need to like flex seal. You need all of that. You need to make a boat out of just basically what the Chandler has. As damn, that is just another double KO here and now. Alfie in complete control yet again. Same scenario from game number 1, but here comes the Torkoal and the Venusaur. So I like this actually here for Mr. Ivan for Tip Tap. Basically, he's gonna change things up in a sense. He only sets up the Sunny Day right now. He's trying to lessen the damage of the Chandler, but surprise, surprise to all of us, that Chandler just way, way too potent in what it does. Time though for the attack. Dynamax coming our way. And yes, Mr. Pao, what you got for us?
Especially now in the sun, it's very dangerous for Venusaur just to stay out against the Chandelure because it could be eating a very dangerous Max Flare or a Heat Wave from Chandelure. And we did see the damage earlier from that Chandelure onto the Venusaur. Very, very scary.
And I'm actually thinking if Alfie here is going to decide to not even bother with the Trick Room, will he decide to go for the KO instantly? Earlier on, that was just way too much damage from the Chandler. Potentially go for the Fake Tears yet again and just get the Max Flare to try and get the KO. What do you think, pal? Will he play it safe?
Yeah. The Trick Room is the right option because now that the sun is up, Venusaur actually outspeeds the Chandelure. And he wants to move before the Chandler because access to Max Quake, as we saw earlier, was enough to almost to hit KO this Chandler.
Yeah, so Comentan making sure that he is gonna go first onto that upcoming turn. The life bar though will get crit onto that 1 HP life bar. It's just gonna get flambéed, man. But yeah, you're completely correct, playing on the safer option, especially as Trick Room turns into Max Guard. So basically a stronger Protect in so many ways. But now we have Comentan losing one of his Pokemon. Conkeldurr though sent out instead here for the red hand side. Interesting pick. Potentially gonna have that same old Guts as well as the Flame Orb. As here comes the potential attack here from Tip Tap. What can he do to try and bail him out?
What Tip Tap has to be aware of is his Torkoal moves first before and that does deal an insane amount of damage towards that Conkeldurr. Maybe giving him an idea of how it's EV'd, but given that it's game 3, there's not a lot of time to adjust. And you do see that Assault Fest coming in so clutch for this Venusaur.
Yeah, Tip Tap yet again looking to play it on the grit. He's stuck on his corner, but he ain't gonna go down without swinging against his opponents. And actually, he gets the kill on the Chandler and instead gets a little bit up on the up with the special defense as well. And as we saw on that Torkoal, very, very bulky. On the defensive stat, doesn't care about what the Conkeldurr has in the first place. Here comes the Flame Orb though, gonna be able to proc the Guts in the first place. But that Conky there, gonna have like one turn of 1 HP. Onto that one next turn, maybe even all the way 0 Hatterene though, gonna be coming on nuts. And this is looking really good here for our Tip Tap side.
At this point, I feel like the Conkeldurr just wants to click Mach Punch because he's just gonna die to anything the Torkoal clicks at this point. So
yeah. It's all about priority here and now, man.
We'll see if Mach Punch is actually enough to take out this 30 or so HP Venusaur.
Yes, because he Assault Vest on the special defense side only, and
and
yes,
it
it
is
goes down.
enough.
That was so close though. That was so close. This time, there is no bailout here for Tip Tap. Ivan gonna be relying on the eruptions of that Torkoal. Never mind though, it's apparently the Heat Wave, and the Hatterene gonna be able to avoid it. That is literally the best case scenario here for Mr. Comentan, as Alfie gonna have a full HP Hatterene trying to go for the kill. Connects onto that Torkoal. One last chance here now for Tip Top as well as Alfie. both of them on the ropes, but it seems like this might be Alfie's game to win. It's very interesting though that we are coming to such a clutch moment, and here comes the heat wave looking to go for the connection. The Hattery not gonna be able to avoid this time, but it survives on the yellow Shadow Ball though. Slowly but surely gonna go for the hits, and that is gonna be game, set, and match. ER Comentan coming in with the victory there, 2-1 against Ivan Jingco. And what a match that was. Mr. Pao, some thoughts from that one.
Very unfortunate that that second to the last heat wave actually missed. It actually would have decided the match earlier, and it would have swung it the other way. But you know, sometimes it's what happens when you play Pokemon.
It's pretty much the case sometimes. And before we end it on that, big shout outs though from Mr. TipTap for sending his links in. I was looking for a few VODs, and his were not only the one segregated but also the cleanest. And I thought that this one was the most interesting one to begin with, having such a close fight. Really, that game number one. Literally 3 HP.
Even that game number 3 though was very close.
But I really feel like Alfie here really had all the cards on his side. He understands how to take the victory. He understands how to play his comp a lot better than TipTap. And it really was just how that Venusaur was able to bail TipTap out on a number of occasions in
Alfie's Alfie's game plan, I guess this best of 3 match was, I guess, just a little more clear cut compared to TipTap's.
And I do enjoy a matchup like this. So guys, before we go, we're just also doing this to invite y'all to join the upcoming Dodrio Cup this weekend. Hopefully, you guys can check out this VOD and have a little bit of some tastes of what might come if you guys do have some clean VODs to send in over a few of those replays there. And then, you know guys, even without our live events, without us being all together at the venue, we can still get some casting going for our Pokemon matches, just be able to get a little bit of credence on the local scene. And hey, it gives me practice, it gives Pao practice, especially during a time where there isn't as much Pokemon VGC going on due to everything happening with the coronavirus situation. I appreciate it. Yeah. I feel really washed right now in this setting. It's been a while since I've been able to see some very competitive Pokemon, but big shoutouts to both TipTap and Alfie, who I've messed up a few times on the names, but beyond that, it's been fun, it's been great. I've been Daks, and joining me today is Pao, and we'll be looking to send one more over to you guys very soon, so tune in for that.